Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 6 of the 12 Tech Tips of Christmas for 2025. It is lovely to see you here. We're at the halfway point, and we've got 6 more tips to go after today. But today we have a great session. We're going to show you and share some tips and tricks and maybe some features that you didn't know about in a tool that I absolutely love using. I know I say I love a lot of tools, and I really do, but there are certain tools, software, and applications that you just fall in love with, and today's is no exception. Anyway, welcome. If we have not met before, my name is Tristan Heron. I am the Future Ready Teaching Specialist here at Evolve EdTech, and it's lovely to have you with us today. If you're returning, thank you for joining us again. If you are joining us for the very first time, hello, welcome. We love you and appreciate you, and thank you for joining us. Don't forget to check out our previous episodes as part of this season so that you can catch up on what we have been exploring so far. But let's not dilly-dally. Let's jump straight in and check out today's tool so we can go in and we can have a look at this and play around and have a look at some of these fantastic features. All right, today we are going to dive in and have a look at something that you may have used before. You may have heard of it. You may use it all the time, and that is Google Docs. Now, I am a Google workspace, a Google fanatic. I have a lot of Google products. I really love what they do. So maybe I am a little bit biased when it comes to this, but I think that Google Docs is a fantastic tool that you could be using in your EdTech toolkit, especially if you are a Google for Workspace school. So before we dive and have a look at the actual Google Docs document and all the different features we're going to explore today, let's just go and have a quick gander at what Google Docs is, just in case you have never heard of this before. So what is Google Docs? Google Docs is a cloud-based word processing tool that allows teachers and students to create, edit, and collaborate on documents from any device. This is one of the great strengths about Google Docs is not only can you work with your colleagues and your students, not only can students work with each other, there are so many ways to collaborate on Google Docs that we can actually have more than one person working on a project in a Google Docs document at the same time. That is one of the great benefits of this tool. All right, Google Docs auto-saves work. It supports real-time collaboration and integrates smoothly with Google Classroom, making it ideal for drafting essays, creating templates, sharing feedback, and supporting group projects. One of the really great things I love about Google Docs is that integration with Google Classroom. So I can create a Google Docs document with the activities that I would like my students to complete, and they just connect beautifully in Google Classroom. So I don't have to have my students leaving Google Classroom to complete learning activities or worksheets or activities. We can do that through Google Classroom and Google Docs. So with its powerful built-in tools such as voice typing, version history, and smart suggestions, Google Docs helps streamline workflow and enhance productivity in the classroom. It is a fantastic tool to use. It's always innovating. They are always adding new features to Google Docs. Some of them you might use regularly. Some of them you might never know about, and you may never actually need to use yourself. But today we're going to go and explore a couple that I have discovered and that I think are really cool and that I really like. Some of these might be brand new to you. Some of these might be oldies but goodies that you just needed a reminder about. But we're going to dive in and we're going to have a look at some of these wonderful features of Google Docs. So let's dive over. We're going to have a practical episode this time and have a look at 5 wonderful tips and tricks to help make Google Docs even better. All right. So we're just going to focus on 5 today. There are so many wonderful things. We don't want to overwhelm you with too many, but we're going to go and explore 5 wonderful tips and tricks. So let's go over. I'm just going to leave my presentation and just head to a sample Google Docs document that I have open just here. It's a plain Jane document in my Google Workspace. So the first thing that I would like to show you is something that I discovered, believe it or not. It's taken me a little while to kind of process what this particular tool does. But now that I know, it is a game changer and I absolutely love it. And I'm actually thinking that if you were a really organized person, and for example, you had your work, your activities completed for a whole unit or topic, this particular tip could be very beneficial and save you a truckload of time. All right, so the very first thing I want to show you is the Google Docs tabs. So we can actually kind of like, if we think of this like OneNote from Microsoft, we can actually have different pages and sections within this document. And essentially what they do is they kind of all operate individually within their particular tab or section. So very similar, I would say, in a way to Microsoft OneNote. All right, so we've got our document here. Now, when you normally open up a brand new Google Docs document, your tabs section will already be on display for you. Now, I have hidden that because I want to show this to you and do the big reveal with you. So just over here in the top left-hand corner, you'll see this little icon just here that looks like a couple of bullet points and a few lines of maybe text or something. If we click on that, that is going to reveal the area in which we are going to create our tabs. So you can see here that if we actually use headings in our Google Docs document, they will actually be created here as a tab. So if we come up here, for example, to where it says normal text, our styles, and if we go to a heading, all right, so if we go heading 1 just here, and I type in example, heading just here, you will see that that particular page there is now nestled under tab number 1. So we can actually create really amazing things using this particular process. So what we can do here is we have our tabs. We can add more tabs by clicking on the plus button just here. So as I mentioned, these are kind of like separate sections. Let's say that we've got a folder and we've got our different tab dividers. That's essentially what we're doing here, but we're just doing it with a digital document instead. We can also rename these particular sections. So we can rename this to section 1. We can go section 2, etc., etc., etc. Now, you will see here that if I click on the 3 dots, and with Google, the 3 dots always mean more options. We can add a sub tab. So maybe we've got some small topics within a bigger topic. We can delete, we can duplicate, we can rename, and we can choose an emoji. Now, this is a really great feature here because sometimes if you're asking a student to find something, especially maybe if we've got students in the younger years or primary school, sometimes it might get a little bit overwhelming finding and reading this. So we could actually choose some different emojis here that we could use to help this. It also makes it look a little bit fun and exciting as well, even for you. So you might like to do that. You'll also notice here that we can copy the link to that particular section. We can move that tab up and down, and we can also indent it. So if we click on tab number 3 here, and we'd like to move that to section number 1, you'll see that that tab is now within that particular section. So you will see here that this is our section, this is our main part, and then we can have our additional tabs, our additional sections nestled under it. So what I can envision here is if you have a topic and you're very organized and you've got everything planned and resourced, you could essentially create work for each lesson. Say that you've got 7 periods a fortnight, you could have that in there all ready to go for your students. And then once that's all ready, you can share that on Google Classroom. So these documents and these tabs are absolutely amazing. And again, we can just add a new tab just here. And of course, we can always move it. We can make it a sub tab if we would like to, again, just create and nestle those particular pages and sections under our tabs, essentially. So one way that I have used this particular option this year, is with my report writing comments. So I've got a different section for each of my classes, so that I'm only using one document. Instead of using a separate document for every class, I've just got each class as an individual tab, and I've got what semester, and I can tell, and I can go in, and I'm only accessing one document. So using the document tabs, very handy. I know of other people, such as my lovely friend Sarah Cordner. She has shown us examples of some of her Google Docs documents, and she uses these document tabs to help her draft emails and keep them nice and organized in Google Docs. So there's lots of ways that you could use the tabs here, and I highly encourage you to go and explore this, because I think it is going to be an absolute game changer. And if you love Microsoft OneNote, but you don't really want to use OneNote, you could use a lot of those features right here in Google Docs. So the document tabs is the first wonderful little tip and trick when it comes to Google Docs that I want to share with you today. How cool is that? I love it. Let's have a look at our second tip. Now, this is a relatively new one, even to me, but I know it's been around for a little while now. But it's something that I kind of discovered, and I was like, do you know what? This makes a lot of sense. And they are building blocks. All right. So to access building blocks, we're going to come up here to insert, and then we're just going to scroll down here to building blocks. Now, you'll see that we have a couple of options here. We've got some pre-made building blocks here that we can use. All right, so if we click on, let's have a look at the task tracker. So we've got a template essentially just here that we can edit, okay, that we can use to keep track of a particular task or a particular activity that you might be completing with your students. Maybe it's something to do with your colleagues when it comes to resource creation or program writing, something like that. We have these building blocks. We can add a date, we can check, and we have some drop downs here so that we can keep track of some of those. So let's delete that. Let's delete that tab. And let's head back to insert and have a look at these building blocks, because something that I really love just here is that we have the ability to create custom building blocks. So you can create your own templates, your own building blocks, essentially, that you might use regularly. Now, I've got one to show you here that I have created, because I was thinking about when I write emails to send out to my email list, I probably really should keep those emails somewhere so that I can refer back to them in future. So I created a building block just here. Now, it's not going to appear properly because I did change the margins in my particular document, and they're a little bit smaller than the margins in this particular example. But this is the building block that I created. And again, it's not earth-shattering. It's quite simple, but you can see here, now I can just pop that building block in. I can add the relevant information, and it's saving me a truckload of time because I don't have to create this new table every single time I'm creating and writing an email. So it's actually saving me an absolute truckload of time. All right, let's go back up here to insert. I'm going to head down to building blocks, and we are going to create a new building block, a new custom building block. All right. So maybe you are creating something for, say, let's say it's a template that you might use when it comes to lesson planning, or maybe it's for when you are away for the casual or relief or supply teacher. Why not create a building block so that you are not reinventing this every single time? So you can do essentially whatever you would like to do here. So select the content that you would like to save as the building block. So we might just go back here first. We might go to a new tab, and we'll create this from scratch. So maybe we pop in a table. Let's go just something simple. Date, teacher. Maybe we have the class and the room. Oops, we'll spell room correctly. We have that there. let's pop in, we'll just make this really simple lesson outline. Pop our lesson outline in there. Maybe we'll get some feedback from casual teacher or the teacher taking the class. Maybe we'll get them to also just teacher or casual teacher signature, and maybe we'll get them to put a date in there. So maybe we just create a really simple template just here. So now what we'll do is we'll come up to insert, we'll go to building blocks, we'll go to custom building block, and then we'll go new building block. And then it says select the content that you'd like to save as a building block. So we would like this. And then we hit save. We give it a name. So we'll go casual lesson template. We could give it a description if we'd like to, and then we click create. So now that will be a custom building block that we can go back and use. So if I head just to another one of these tabs in our document here, and I come up to insert, I go to building blocks, I come down here to custom building blocks, you will see just here that my second custom building block is available. I'm going to click on that. Whammo, how cool is that? So rather than recreating that time and time again, you're just going to come into Google Docs, you're going to create a building block to start with, and then you're going to save it so that you can reuse it time and time again. That is going to be an absolute game changer for a number of us. So rather than us reinventing every single time, if there's a particular template or something that we are using, we can go and create that as a building block in Google Docs so that we can reuse that time and time again. How great does that sound? It sounds like a game changer. All right, I'm going to show you another one of the tools that I love using, and I'll share one of the ways that I love using this particular tool. So if we come back up here to insert, I'm also going to come down here, but this time I'm going to go to Smart Ships. Now, Smart Ships are really fantastic ways to take information, especially if it's from the Google Workspace ecosphere, and just to make it very interconnected. So it's actually going to make it something that is accessible, and it's going to make it much easier for you to be able to go and do a whole heap of different things here. So you see here that we can add dates, we can add people, we can add files, calendar events, all of these different kind of things that we might be using day to day in our role as an educator. So I'll just click on the date one to start with. So let's just choose a random date here. That is now going to appear as a smart ship. All right. So we could add a time there. It's just like the calendar and just connecting that to whatever you are exploring. So maybe if you've got some tracking that you're completing, you wanted to make sure that you have evidence when you've checked some drafts or done something like that, the smart ships could be really handy dandy. Now, something else that I really do love with the smart ships is this one down here, the drop downs. Now, we did see the drop downs just before in one of the examples of a building block, but I love the drop downs. And I use these also over in Google Sheets, where I actually have my daybook, my teacher diary, and I find these to be really handy to keep track of what I have completed or look at periods and lessons and dates and things like that. So we can create our own drop downs here. There's a couple that will be created for you as presets. So you can see here that this one that's project status, we've got 4 options: not started, blocked, in progress, and completed. And you can see that they're different colors. And our review status as well, we've got 4 different options there that are also different colors. So this could be really handy to help you keep track, to monitor students, to look at data and information, and to see where students might be placed. So we can create a new dropdown by just clicking on the new dropdown option here. Give the template a name. It's really important that you give it a name, especially if you are creating multiple drop-down options that you are going to use. And then just here is where you will add your options. We can continue to add new options if you need more than the default 4. Right, we can rearrange them if you have accidentally popped them in the wrong order. Don't delete them, just rearrange them. It'll save you a truckload of time. We can change the colors here. We have the option to choose a color. We've got a color picker as well. We could also come in here and choose a color with this color option just here. Then when we're happy with this, we just click save, and then our wonderful drop down will be available for us just here. I really like to use this when I'm monitoring and keeping track of work students have completed. I do have a class that are required to complete a portfolio of work over a 12-month period. So I like this to track what students have completed and what they have not completed, so that when they come to me and they say, what do I need to do? I just pull up my Google Docs document, and I've created a nice table, and I just say, you need to do this task and this task. It's so much easier to keep track, and it just makes my organization even stronger and better. So using these smart chips could be something that will save you a truckload of time. Go and have a look. If we have a look, I like this one here with the file option. We can actually just go and put a link to a file that we are using in our classroom or in our planning, and we can pop that in there. So rather than popping in the link, we can create it so it's a smart chip. It looks really nice. It looks really pretty. It just makes everything so much more interconnected and accessible. So our smart chips, the third little tip and trick that I am going to share with you today, so that you can make the most of Google Docs. All right, let's go and have a look at the next one. And this one is a game changer as well. So if you've been using Google Docs for a little while, once upon a time, you could only use one form of page orientation. You either had landscape or portrait. You had one or the other. You couldn't choose, so you couldn't swap between them. You had to have one or the other, which made things difficult sometimes. Well, Google Docs continues to elevate and innovate, and it's really grown. And believe it or not, we can actually now change our page orientation. All right, so there's a couple of ways that we can do this. Let's just use this tab just here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come up here to insert. I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to go to break, and I'm just going to pop a section break in here. So I've got a new page now, a new section of this particular document. And then what I can do is I can come up here to format, and I have this option here, page orientation. All right, so this is what I can do here. Now you need to listen carefully, otherwise you might get this wrong. So you will see here that it says page orientation apply to. So we actually need to click on this, and we have some options. We can apply this to the whole tab. So that will apply to everything in this tab. We can apply it to section 2. All right. So that is the section that we are working on right now, because this is the second page. This is the second section of this document, or we can do it to this section onwards. So basically that just means that every page after this particular page will be the same orientation. So I'm just going to choose this middle option here so that I can show you how we can use different orientations. So I'm going to choose this section, section 2, and I would like this particular page or this section to be landscape. So I'm going to click landscape. I'm going to press OK, and you can now see that this page is landscape. Now, we need to follow the same process if we would like to insert another page into this document. So I'm just going to head back up to insert, head back down to break, pop in my section break, and again, I'm going to go back up to format. I'm going to go to page orientation. Again, I'm going to change this to our middle option of section 3. I like this just because it makes it a little bit easier to control one page at a time, but you can choose whatever works for you. And I would like to make this page portrait. Oh, look at that. How easy is that? So now we have a lot of those features and functions that were available in, say, Microsoft Word for a long time, where we could have those different page orientations between our landscape and our portrait. We didn't have that for a long time with Google Docs, but we definitely have the capacity to use those different page orientations now. So I say, if you're thinking about whether you're going to go old school and use Microsoft Word, or you want to use the features and collaboration and wonderful connections that Google Docs has with Google Workspace, I say go for it now, because we can actually create documents that use multiple page orientations. How amazing is that? It is a game changer. Google Docs just continues to blow my mind with what it is doing. Don't think it's going to be Microsoft Word, because that is not fair to compare it to Microsoft Word. They are two very distinctly different ecosystems. So just remember that it is not Microsoft Word, but it is its own amazing functional system on its own. So that is tip number 4. Let's jump into our final tip for this video. And this is an oldie but a goodie. And I think it's really important that I go through this again, because it is something that could save your life. Well, maybe not save your life quite literally, but it could save you a lot of angst and problems, because trust me, I have used this particular function, and it's a function that you can find in pretty much every Google Workspace tool. And it has helped me when I have made some pretty silly boo-boos. And that is the version history. So if we head up here to our File tab, and then we're going to scroll down here, and you will see version history. Now, this is a game changer, especially if you've got multiple people working on the same document. If someone does something, deletes something, edits something, removes something, this can come in very, very handy. And it has come in handy for me before, when I have accidentally started editing a document that I did not mean to, rather than making a copy of it, and I've deleted information, and I've just gone, oh, this has actually been my lifesaver. So we can name the versions that we are working on. So I might name this version just now. Let's call this the example version number 1. This helps you keep track of that history when you go back if you need to. So I'll head back up to File now. I'm going to head down to Version History, and we're going to go to this little component just here, See Version History. Now, we do have a keyboard shortcut there, Control-Alt-Shift-H, if you'd like to jump straight into the version history. So when you click on your version history, what will appear is this screen just here. You can see that we have 4 edits just here in this particular document. And over here on the right-hand side, this is where we can check our version history. So this document was created here on the 7th of December at 4:28 p.m. I can click on that, and you can see just here in this document, there's nothing in here. But now if I click on this version just here, we've got those tabs that we mentioned earlier. We'll have all of the different things that we've looked at, and you can see everything that has been created and who created it, because it will be colored and highlighted. So if you've got multiple people working on the same document, you will be able to tell who has edited, who has changed, who has done whatever they have done to your document. Now, this comes in really handy, because we could come here, and what we could do is say, maybe, I accidentally deleted this. What I could do is come here, and I could actually copy that, and then I can just leave the version history, head back to my original, and pop that back in, or make a copy. So don't think that if you have accidentally deleted something or changed something that you didn't intend to change, that it is gone forever. The version history could be one of your very new best friends. So there we go. There are 5 very simple but amazing tips that you could go and explore and have a look to see how Google Docs is such a versatile, powerful word processing tool that you could use, especially if you love that online collaboration. If you're a real Google Workspace fanatic like myself, this is a perfect tool to use as a replacement for Microsoft Word. So go and check it out and see if Google Docs is something that you might like to add to your EdTech toolkit. I really hope it is. It's part of my EdTech toolkit, and I absolutely love it. Well, there we go. That is day number 6. Day number 6 of the 12 tech tips of Christmas for 2025. Thank you so much for joining us again today. Don't forget to head back tomorrow for day number 7. We're at the middle of the series right now, and we are ready to keep going. Anyway, before you leave today, don't forget, if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe to the Evolve EdTech YouTube channel. Subscribing supports us, it motivates us, and it also helps other people find our community so that we can help you with EdTech. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up so other people can find it as well. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us for day 6. We will catch you again tomorrow for even more wonderful tips, tricks, and tools as part of the 12 Tech Tips of Christmas 2025. We'll catch you then. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow.